Dr. Yoni Witten here, and this week I want to talk to you about one tiny little muscle that you've probably never even heard of that contributes to all types of problems in the body. You're talking about everything from chronic headaches and neck pain to chronic shoulder problems like impingement syndrome and rotator cuff tears. Now, if you struggle with any of those things, you're going to want to pay close attention because I'm going to show you how to dramatically improve your situation in just 2 minutes a day. Let's jump into this. Most people have heard of the pectoralis major. Now that's the big superficial chest muscle that sits right here. It attaches from your sternum and your collarbone and runs outward to the bone of your arm. When that muscle contracts, it produces this motion. It pulls the arm towards the body. That's called shoulder adduction. So when you're at the gym and you're doing push-ups or bench presses, that muscle is heavily involved in producing that motion. But not a lot of people are familiar with the pectoralis major's little brother, the pectoralis minor. When you look at an anatomy chart, you don't even see the pectoralis minor because it sits underneath this big chest muscle. So you have to peel that muscle back to find the pectoralis minor, which attaches to the third, fourth, and fifth ribs, and it runs in almost like 3 fingers in an upward direction towards the shoulder. Its attachment point is a bony process that protrudes forward off of your shoulder blade. So you got that? It's running from your rib cage here and attaching through a gap here to your shoulder blade. So when it contracts, it tends to pull the shoulder blade forward and down. The pectoralis minor is one of those muscles that just tends to get sacrificed to the modern lifestyle. Because we spend so much time nowadays in what are called flexion-based activities. Now those are activities where we're seated, our head is down, and our arms are positioned out in front of us like so. Think driving, texting, working on a laptop computer. Anytime you're in that position, this tissue is being allowed to shorten and it progressively becomes shorter and tighter over time, especially in a world where we have become more sedentary, which means we're spending less time in positions and activities that oppose that direction of motion. And when we do exercise, we tend to use pressing movements like bench presses, downward dogs, upward dogs, and dips that contribute to shortening and tightening of that tissue. Now that's a recipe for long-term disaster. Now there's a lot of different ways to diagnose shortness or tightness at the pectoralis minor. They've done studies on the average distance from the top of your shoulder to the floor when you're lying on your back. But my favorite way, the dead giveaway, is the easiest. Just look at a person's posture. How do they carry themselves? Remember, the pectoralis minor pulls the shoulders forward and down. So if you see a person walking around and their shoulders are pulled into this position and their chest is closing in on itself, their upper back is excessively rounded, and their head is pushed out in front of their body, you can be reasonably assured that that person has some shortening of their pectoralis minor. Now, if you want to confirm it, there's a really simple test called the flat lying test. So you're going to need a camera setup set on video mode, positioned at shoulder level about 3 feet away from you to analyze the results of this test. Got that? Just go flat on your back. So you should be on a firm surface for this. Legs are going to be extended straight out in front of you. Arms are along the sides of your body. Elbows are slightly bent. Hands are resting on your abdomen. Once you're in that position, you're looking at 2 things. First, position of your head. You should be resting comfortably and easily on the back of your head. Your forehead and your chin should be in line with one another, and that line should run parallel to the floor. Second thing you're looking at here is the position of the arm and shoulder. Back of your arm should be resting comfortably against the floor. And you should have very little air space between the shoulder and the ground. You'll notice here the chest should also be protruding out in front of the front part of the shoulder. Now, if on the other hand, you see these things, you see a head that's resting on the crown and the forehead to chin line is running upward, and especially if you see that in conjunction with shoulders that are shoved forward out in front of the chest with a big air space between your shoulder and the floor, those are things you're going to really want to pay attention to. So if you're looking at your posture and your flat lying test and you're seeing some of these issues that we're talking about, well then it's going to be well worth your time to spend a couple minutes a day releasing your pec minor. Now I want to show you the best way to do that right now. The only equipment that you're going to need is a door frame. When it comes to stretching your pec minor, the most important thing is getting yourself set up in the right position to isolate the muscle. What you're trying to do here is to get the fibers of your pec minor in direct line with the bone of your upper arm. Now to do that, you're going to take a high grip and a door frame. And for simplicity's sake, what I've done is I've shown where the pec minor is here in bright green tape so that you can keep a constant visual on this. So you're going to wrap your fingers around the back side of the door frame. It's really important that you have a secure grip. You're going to be using a split stance here where the opposite leg from the side that you're stretching is positioned forward, about 2 feet in front of your trailing leg. Right leg is actually positioned backward through the door frame. And then what you're going to do is lean forward towards your front leg and rotate your torso just slightly in that direction. What you're going to find there is that you've got a base level of tension right there on that pec minor. Now the secret here, the thing that nobody's talking about, is there's still a lot more that you can get out of this stretch. Make sure that your grip is really good, and then what I want you to do is bend the front knee and the back knee simultaneously and watch your weight just drop down and that upper arm bone come directly in line with those pec minor fibers. Now you're getting a release from top to bottom and front to back that can't be matched from any other stretch. You're going to hold that stretch for 60 to 90 seconds and just allow that pec minor to elongate and that shoulder to release and open wide up. Opening up your pectoralis minor can dramatically improve your posture, but this release is about so much more than looks. See, as long as that tight pec minor is in place, it means that the socket of your shoulder is being pulled into a position where the joint structures are way more likely to contact one another during normal motion. That's the definition of impingement, and it hurts like heck. It's also elongating your rotator cuff muscles, placing them in a position where they're way more likely to be injured or torn. It's also throwing off the biomechanics of your neck, and it can even restrict breathing. Now, for the best possible results, you're going to want to pair this release with an active form of rehabilitation to strengthen the opposing muscles. Now, I've already put out a couple videos on that subject, and I'll be sure to link to those in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you'll put the information to good use. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on the new videos that come out each week where I show you how to achieve the best posture and mobility of your life. And if you struggled with that flat lying test, you've got to check out my active traction unit. This is the most powerful training tool for permanently transforming your posture. I'm going to include links for the active traction unit in the description down below, and I'll see you guys next week.